As we've discussed in previous videos, the failed impeachment inquiry into President Biden was dealt a mortal blow the other day when it was discovered that the man who made the key allegations against President Biden with respect to corruption was actually indicted for making false statements to the FBI regarding those allegations. And in the aftermath, the Fox propaganda network's reaction to this news has been nothing short of hilarious. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. I'd greatly appreciate it. All right, friends, we have several clips to play in this video. And again, just prepare yourself for maximum schadenfreude. This is great. The impeachment effort into President Biden has basically consumed all of the Republican Party's political capital. It's one of the reasons, perhaps the primary reason, why this iteration of Congress is the least productive in modern history and the second least productive in U.S. history. Because they're just consumed with trying to take Biden down politically, even though the facts don't seem to support them. Just want to give you a brief recap of the situation, courtesy of Caitlin Collins from CNN, and how important it was to the MAGA Republican case against Joe Biden.
For almost a year now, House Republicans have championed these now totally discredited claims from this informant without naming him.
Even a trusted FBI informant has alleged a bribe to the Biden family.
We already know the president took bribes from Burisma.
Today's indictment alleges that the so-called trusted informant's evidence was actually a fabrication.
And again, all because he apparently has a political grudge against the president. Now, what's funny is with respect to this FD 1023 form, it was in the form stated by the FBI agent who took it down that the claims were unverified, that there was no corroborating evidence. It was just an allegation from, yes, a previously credible confidential source. Yes, but there was no evidence to corroborate it. That was made evident in the report. And then even in the aftermath of the report, which, by the way, was investigated by Donald Trump's own DOJ under Bill Barr, and they found that there was no real predicate to do anything with it because it was just an allegation, an uncorroborated allegation. Then even during the Republicans' impeachment inquiry, like when they brought in Devin Archer, again, the bombshell smoking gun witness, when this FD 1023 form was brought up and the allegations made within, this guy who worked for the Ukrainian energy company Burisma, which is at the heart of these allegations, a guy who knew all the players involved, including Joe and Hunter Biden, he said it sounded like nonsense to him, right? So there was ample, abundant reason to not take this as far as Republicans did. But they did take it quite far, as Caitlin Collins points out, and so did the Fox Propaganda Network. But I want to play some clips and read you some things about the Fox Propaganda Network's reaction to it. But I want to start with this Mediaite article, which is really funny because they point out that since the news broke, Fox has done everything in its power to avoid addressing it. So since news broke of Smirnov's, because the guy's name is Alexander Smirnov, his arrest late Thursday afternoon, it's barely been mentioned on Fox. To the credit of Brett Baer, correspondent David Spunt covered the news on special report Thursday evening. Fox News Primetime, the principal profiteer of the original narrative, ignored the story entirely. On Friday, the story has been covered 3 times so far, each time as a standard news report without any of the context that this indictment is the equivalent of a sledgehammer to the Biden family corruption narrative that's been pervasive on Fox for the past few years. If Fox were dedicated to responsible coverage and even a whiff of journalistic standards, this portion of the story would be getting far more coverage. A news consumer who only got their news from Fox would hardly be disabused of their assumptions that Biden and his family take millions of bribes from foreign governments. It's something Fox won't do because it's not what the viewers want. As we know, those desires must be respected over telling the truth. Corporate profits hang in the balance. That is very much the case. But what's interesting is Sean Hannity, one of the primary purveyors of this, finally addressed it on his radio show, right? But he did it with a whataboutism. Again, I'm going to read it here. He says, I'm mad at the FBI that they got it wrong on the Christopher Steele dossier. This is the Steele dossier, which was related to Crossfire Hurricane, which was one of the investigations into Donald Trump and his alleged connections to Russia. And that he was a credible informant to them and was paid by them and paid by Hillary Clinton. I'm mad that the FBI informant, the 1023 form in this case, that now this guy has been charged. It appeared that Alexander Smirnov was not to be trusted. Okay, so he throws in there that he's mad that this source was not to be trusted, but he has to couch it with, a 7 or 8 year old investigation, the Steele dossier, and we'll get to that in a second because he's not the only one to say it. Hannity goes on to say, quote, "See, Hannity didn't tell the truth about the FBI informant. I guess I was stupid." That's what Sean Hannity says. He guesses he was stupid. "I should have learned from Christopher Steele. They have a bad taste in picking out FBI informants," and so on and so forth. So he can't help but draw most attention to an 8-year-old situation, an investigation into Trump. But he's not the only one. Ari Fleischer, a legal correspondent on the straight news part of Fox News, did basically the same thing.
Yeah, this has been a fascinating week to watch justice unfold. You can watch it in Georgia, you can watch it in Manhattan, and now you can watch it in one other item that we haven't talked about. This was also a week in which the special counsel investigating Hunter Biden announced an indictment of a source the FBI had who they say lied to the FBI to make up bad stuff about Hunter. Fine. If a source lied to the FBI like that, I have no problem with prosecuting that person. But then why hasn't Michael Steele, the author of the Steele dossier, been prosecuted? This, again, is the two sides of justice. And it keeps seeming that if you're out to get Donald Trump, you get the green carpet. You can do whatever you want. Just walk right down and attack Donald Trump. But on the other side, these prosecutors, especially in blue areas of America, are waiting to pounce, and the press pounces along with them and paints a very sympathetic portrait. So why was that source indicted and Michael Steele is celebrated by the left? That's the problem I have with justice in America since Donald Trump came to office and the Democrats have broken the norms.
Democrats have broken the norms, he says. Again, he makes everything about the Steele dossier, which is 8 years old. And by the way, if they had a case to make, a prosecutable case, you know who was in power for 4 years? Donald Trump and Trump-appointed attorneys general, including Bill Barr, a man who despised Crossfire Hurricane, that investigation into Donald Trump, who actually appointed a special counsel, John Durham, to investigate that investigation, who went out of his way to preempt the Mueller special counsel investigation, which was related to it. Bill Barr, if there was a case to be made to indict this person for making false statements to the FBI, and I'm not entirely sure that Christopher Steele did make false statements to the FBI. He was the person responsible for compiling the dossier against Hillary Clinton. And by the way, some of it was publicly verified. Not all of it was lies. Not all of it was unverified. As a matter of fact, I'm not even sure to what extent they were lies. Just a lot of it was unverified or disproven, and other parts of it were verified. So it was a mixed bag. So he's comparing apples and oranges. And it says something, again, that Bill Barr, under Donald Trump, apparently couldn't find anything to prosecute. But that's why they have to couch it in this. Then you have Maria Bartiromo, also on the Fox Propaganda Network. She is scrambling. So she's talking to a Republican congressman here. And this exchange is just hilarious. The cope and the denial coming from not just Fox, but also the Republican congressman. I'll let them speak for themselves.
The fact that he said that the Bidens, Joe Biden and Hunter Biden, accepted $5 million each from Burisma, apparently is getting him indicted. The FBI says the special counsel is indicting him, saying that he provided incorrect, derogatory information about President Joe Biden and his son Hunter Biden on felony false statements and obstruction charges. He's facing 25 years in prison. What is this about?
Well, this is certainly something that needs further investigation. I mean, we have just seen this two-tiered justice system under the Biden administration, and well, even before the Biden administration, for that matter, concerning Hillary Clinton. So it just goes on and on and on. So Congress, who has oversight, of course, is being kept very busy by a myriad of investigations, and that is also a problem because it's keeping us from doing a lot of the business that we want to do when it comes to policy. But we're bogged down with it, and American people deserve answers to these types of things. It seems to me that this source should be able to take some whistleblower type of refuge in this situation, and I would hope that he comes to Congress to discuss this, because this problem within the agencies where they get to control the narrative every time, even amongst their people.
What narrative? If the guy committed a crime, what do you want the FBI to do? Not prosecute, not indict? Of course you don't, because it's beneficial to your narrative. And by the way, speaking of narratives, well, we really want to govern We really want to govern, and this stuff is just really getting in the way. It's really inconvenient for us. Gosh, we want to govern so much, but all this Biden stuff is just getting in the way. Buddy, man, this has been a fishing expedition from the start. You all have relentlessly sought this. You all are making this your problem. At any time, you can go, you know what? The evidence isn't there. We've looked for more than a year. This is just the final straw. We need to let this go and actually get back to governing. You choose not to. That is entirely 100% the Republicans' fault. Democrats are faultless in this. They are blameless. It is all on the Republicans. Now, in terms of dropping it, ranking member Jamie Raskin, Democrat of the House Oversight Committee, he says, in a detailed indictment, special counsel David Weiss, who was appointed by former President Donald Trump, has demonstrated how key evidence at the heart of the Republicans' impeachment inquiry is based on a lie. Special counsel Weiss's investigation is just the most recent to debunk the Ukraine-Burisma conspiracy theory at the heart of this fraudulent impeachment inquiry. It's an undeniable fact that Republicans' allegations against President Biden have always been a tissue of lies built on conspiracy theories, and I formally call on Speaker Johnson, Chairman Comer, and House Republicans to stop promoting this nonsense and end their doomed impeachment inquiry. It's so bad that the president himself, who usually doesn't weigh in on this, he finally got involved as well.
An FBI informant at the center of the impeachment inquiry into you has been indicted for allegedly lying. Your reaction to that, and should the inquiry be dropped?
He is lying, and it should be dropped, and it's just been an outrageous effort from the beginning.
There you go. Even President Biden, who usually tries to stay above the fray, even he's like, guys, this is ridiculous. And it is, right? So yeah, I just love watching Fox desperately try to scramble to cover their ass on this. They have once again stepped on rakes along with House Republicans. It's been a clown show from the very beginning, and it deserves nothing but contempt and mockery from the rest of us. Let me know what you think in the comments.